It's good to see some young friends, starting with Mangrish Bab, Anilji, I heard your name, Kularji, and Nitin and Mr. Silgaonkar as well. It's a pleasure to be over here with all of you. I'm here to talk about digital marketing, but just before I start, a quick show of hands. How many of you are founders, entrepreneurs? Okay, fantastic. And how many of you are senior managers in these organizations? Great. And how many of you are students? Okay. So let's get started. The gentleman before me has already talked about what MSMEs are, and we make up a bulk of the exports of the country. A huge amount of population of the country is actually employed with MSMEs. I believe it's over 10 crore people employed with us and almost 50% of exports in the country. But despite that happening, we are usually invisible. Why? Because we don't have a digital presence strong enough to be able to attract customers. Do you agree? Yeah. So how many of your digital presence is large enough for you to build your own brand and get leads on your own? Online. I don't see a wide show of hands, so I'm assuming not very strong. I have not looked this time. All these two guys are acing the market. But for the rest of the people around us, there's some scope for improving. So fact is that 88% of purchase research starts online. And this is something that you also done. You may have gone to a physical store to buy, but the more expensive the product, do you not research online before you go? You may not buy it on Amazon, you may not buy it on Google, but you started your search there. You've gone in as an informed customer. And unfortunately, you've done the same when you've gone to meet a doctor also. You've done enough research and have the worst case scenario of 100 diseases that have happened to you, and then go to the doctor and turned out to be a simple fever. Right, wrong? Yeah. So this is the age where we have got more information available than the wisdom to digest it. And your customers globally are waiting for your product, but they don't know how to reach you. So this is where we start playing around with digital marketing. And I would love it if you can stop my talk in between, ask me questions, point out points which you don't necessarily agree with me, except Nitin, and try and ask questions around it, because the more you ask, the more you know, and the more you know, the more places you'll go, actually, because the world is a market for you today. It's a flat world. If you can research on and know the latest songs happening in the middle of the US, and there's no gap between the iPhone launch between any part of the world and India now, then your customers are actually global. Are you taking advantage of it? That's something that we'll talk during the entire session. So the fastest route, I think, to start generating sales immediately is to use something called performance marketing, right? I see somebody taking notes. You can also ask for the presentation copy. I'm more than happy with them sharing it, right? So Google is the fastest route to generate sales. And why do I say that? Because a huge percentage of our queries start on Google, right? And you do that yourself too, right? Google used to start as a search engine. It became a verb after that. So if most of the searches are actually starting online on Google and people are using that route to find you, then what's a better place to be there? And while you may not understand the internet aspect as well, I'm sure a lot of you are experts on that, but you understand the business aspect, right? So you know that jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai. If your shop is on the high street, the MG road or the municipal market or the biggest mall, you will get higher visibility, you will sell more. Now today that shop, that super highway is actually the search engine, usually. And I say usually with a reason, but we'll not get down into the nuances. So if you are visible on that main road, if you have a large store on that main road, will you not sell more? Now if today 80% plus of the searches are originating online, product purchase intent is originating online, then why are you not there with a large store on that space? That's a question that you have to ask yourself, and you've got enough time to think through it. So the fastest way, like I said, to start generating sales immediately is something which we call performance marketing or pay-per-click marketing. So when it comes to search engines, how many of you are aware of the difference between normal search engine optimization and paid ads? Great. And how many of you have tried out paid ads on your own? Okay. You should. You should not continue with it. फिर हम क्या करेंगे? But you should try it on your own so that you understand the technicalities around it. So when you do and why I say not do it on your own also is, a client of mine was spending £1,750 a month, which is 1.7 lakhs a month, and we're doing the work for him for £300 with a higher impact. Why? Every project has got certain technicalities. So as life gets more and more complex, you start needing more and more specialists. If I talk to Arunji, who's there with pharma, and ask him that 30 years ago or 50 years ago, what were the doctors around? They were probably GPs and doing great work. But today, for every bone in the body, you probably have a different doctor. Right? So as things get more and more complex, we start having more specialization coming. So get down into detail to as much as you can, so you understand enough when you're engaging a specialist to do the work. If you don't understand it, you'll be taken for a ride. So the advantage with Google Ads is that you can start showing your ads specifically to the type of people that you want to sell to. Now let's say you are manufacturing a mosquito repellent, for example. Who's your ideal customer? Everybody? Okay. What time of the day should you market?
Before 6 p.m.
Okay. Before 6 or 5 to 7, 5 to 8. So when you hit the machhar and you see the ad, there's a higher propensity of you purchasing the product. Where should you market? Somebody said everybody. So where would you market? Yeah. So it's not everywhere. It is in some parts of the world. Right? Now within those parts of the world, there are certain places where you'll have a higher chance of getting a sale. Which places are those? Probably places which have a dengue outbreak, malaria outbreak, some flooding and so on. You'll have a much higher propensity of that happening. Yeah. So think through this part. It's not just everybody. The more you target, the better results you get. Now my friend Reena has also come in and she also knows a lot about this topic. So I really have to think about what I say now. So when you're running a Google ad or performance ad, you actually have to remember that there are 3 things that you're basically pitching for. One, you're pitching for people to visit your website, which means you need to have a good quality website in the first place. So make sure you've got a high quality website, which is, today you're working on the mobile also. So your website also has to work on the mobile. You've seen the older websites which don't work on the mobile. So make sure that your website is mobile friendly or responsive. It also works on an iPad, it also works on a large form PC. Then make sure there's a high quality design. It loads faster. So everything that irritates you as a customer, make sure that your website is meeting that basic functional requirement. Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, I want you to talk.
I have a question here.
Yes.
So my name is Arpan. I'm one of the co-founders for a spice brand, and we are into exports and currently penetrating onto the domestic market as well. Now, when we talk about website, I have been dealing with a couple of agencies. I mean, I beg my pardon onto it, but everyone, every agency that I deal with, I find the website to be okay, but by any chance, if I happen to talk to some other agency, they primarily come and pinpoint this is the loophole, So
So आप second doctor को बोलोगे first doctor का mistake वो निकालेगा ना?
हाँ, तो उसको how to overcome it, because that's a big hitch, I think.
So I think the thing is probably to search more before getting married. But I'm sure. So Reena also is probably will be able to help you with developing a high quality website and so on.
Yeah.
But I've got a suggestion. Can I suggest something to you, Alpan? I think the best thing to do is have your checklist ready first, right? Saying that these are the 10 things the website surely should do. Now, if your first agency has been able to fulfill those, I think you should stop flirting around.
No.
I also had a point on this, in the interest of time, I also had a point on this, that you don't need to go to an agency in 2025 to develop your website. Okay? Search online. I'll give you a simple hack around it, right? So search online, go to, and I'm assuming you are having a website which is not rocket science. It's a normal traditional website. You want to put in some content, you want to have maybe some e-commerce on your own. What you do is just go to GoDaddy, buy something that is called a managed WordPress. You can write this word down.
Yeah.
So search for a managed WordPress hosting. That's the first point.
Okay.
Now within that managed WordPress hosting, you'll probably also have them saying that we're giving you ready-made themes and packages around. So choose something which is more like a templated model. Choose a template. So what basically I'm asking you to do is go to a Pantaloon or a Shoppers Stop to buy instead of going to your tailor. Pick up a ready-made standard templated website that you already like. फिर कहाँ खराब जाएगा sir? And probably get away with it. Search for the right template that meets your purpose. Make minor customizations. Use it and move ahead. It will be far better than somebody else's job.
Great. Thank you
Yeah?
so much. Thank you so much.
Right. So I'm sorry if I destroyed somebody's business here. Yeah. But see, when I'm here to talk to you as an audience, you ask questions, you benefit. So thank you so much for that question, sir. And by the way, the website is only the first step.
Got it.
So having a website by itself will not get you any business. It's like having a dukaan somewhere in the middle is not going to give you any business. People have to know that you exist. Right? So I'm talking about the part which is the basic hygiene level. You have to have a website, but now what do we do? So when you do a performance marketing campaign, you can drive people to go to your website. That is point one which I'm talking about. The second objective that you may have is you may want calls to be made. So if you are selling, say, a hotel, or you're a hotelier wanting to sell hotel rooms, then you want lots and lots of calls to come in every day, so that some percentage of the calls convert to sales. And most of those people whom you manage to sell or think you've sold end up coming to you and stay as paying customers. The same applies for real estate, the same applies for many businesses, where you're actually looking at hundreds of calls coming in so that you can sell one flat. Right? The percentage ratios will change based on business. So second objective when you're doing performance marketing is you want lots and lots of calls coming in. And the third, depending on the type of business that you are, you may want lots of people to visit a storefront, visit your retail shop, and so on. I can give you an example of something. So one of my clients who used to be on the high street or the main road in a particular city selling a particular product, over a period of time, his Google ad campaign got better and better and better, because of which the person now has left that highway storefront, the high street storefront, which was at a premium pricing, and gone into a gully not too far from his original location, at a fraction of that cost. Why? Because given the traffic situation in his particular city and parking situation in his particular city, people were anyways walking to his store. And today, earlier, probably those of you who are over the age of 40 or 50, you used to stop by the road and ask for directions, ask somebody, kidhar jana hai? How many of you use Google Maps today? Right? It's a rhetorical question. It's just to check whether you're awake. So the point is that if people are anyways using Google Maps to reach your place, then why do you have to be on that super premium expensive location? It will make sense for lots of people. It may make sense if you've got a huge brand to be there on the high street. But if you're not, if you're struggling with the rentals, then move a little away, because your customer's not discovering you on the highway anymore. Your customer's doing your discovery process on Google, usually. Right, wrong? Yeah? So people have saved money. So while you're spending money on Google Ads, you're saving money on discovery process. And the second part. So how do you actually target people on Google Ads? One is, okay, fine, everybody is my customer. But actually, I think what your basic customer is, you have to think through it. So the first process for thinking through, and this helps your business if you're doing some brainstorming around this, is to think through what are the words that people are likely to search for. So are they going to search for a fantastic tile manufacturer that Nitin is doing? Or are they also going to be searching for exterior tiles, or designer exterior tiles, or durable exterior tiles which are non-slip in the monsoons? Right? I'm just throwing random keywords at you, so they may or may not address your business. But if you try to think through the keywords that a customer is likely to search for, then automatically you're one step ahead of the rest of the competitors. Why? Having thought through the keywords, then you make sure that your website content also has that same information. Because you can't be talking about high durable, non-slip tiles, and your website does not even have that product. So make sure that both of them are talking the same language. So the first step to do a impactful Google ad campaign or a performance marketing campaign, and when I say Google ads, it's not just Google. You also have paid ads happening on Meta. You also have paid ads happening on other platforms. The objective is that they are paid ads which are targeted, the differences between spray and pray or sniper precision. Okay, I'll take an example. I'll take a couple of examples here. So, if a customer, if you are trying to manufacture some kind of oil for curing baldness or increasing some hair growth, right? Who's your target customer? So when you advertise in the newspaper, all the readers of the newspaper are reading that information. So in that sense, you're wasting certain impressions, if I may call it that way. You understanding what I'm saying? Yeah. But online, you're not showing your ad to everybody. You're showing it to people who have a history of searching for cures for baldness. Right? So that is the basic difference, where you try to target people on the basis of their purchase intent or their basic behavior. Every product is not for everybody. You may have a different pricing coming in for people who are using an expensive iPhone, or you may want to show your ads only to people using iPhones. We do that. How many of you tried booking a taxi from, not in Goa of course, how many of you have tried to book a taxi in say Bombay using Uber Ola, ulta ho jata hai. Goa Miles, fantastic. But my story is a little different, so maybe Goa Miles, I don't know whether they use something like that or not. If you're trying to book a taxi, if two of you are trying to book a taxi at the same time, all things being equal, the one who's going to get a taxi at 1,000 rupees is going to be the one with a battery of say 18%, but the one who's having a battery of 70% is going to get the same taxi for 800 bucks. Right?
That's true.
That's true, right? Yeah. And the same pricing on an Android, sasta Android versus a mehenga iPhone, also will be a difference in pricing. It is not that we as marketers know who you are, right? But we can say that I want to show my ad only to iPhone users. I want to show my ad only to the top 20% income of the country or top 10% earners of the country. I don't want to waste it on everybody. When I'm selling a product online, I don't want to show my ad to people who are looking for that industry but looking for careers or jobs. I want to look only at customers. I'm okay doing a very specific location targeting where I may specifically want people only in South Bombay. I don't want people from North Bombay or Thane to look at it. Now, I'm not being racist, I'm telling you ways to target it. You agree with me? So you have a certain product where you want to sell a particular product, you want to export cashews or you want to export your pharma, medicines to a specific geography in the world. It's not just to sell, it's also to try and discover which is the right market to be in. So you float inquiries everywhere and then start studying the actual data that comes in from your advertising and see that okay, I'm getting higher clicks coming in from California, I'm getting higher click coming in from Singapore, but not enough coming in from Hong Kong. So let me look at participating in a trade show in Singapore first. Does this make sense? You don't necessarily have to look at all data only for selling. You can look at it as, okay, where do I base my office next? Which area do I expand? Which area do I go and get a JV done? So any questions on performance marketing, pay-per-click campaigns, sniper marketing?
Sir, one thing I'm become from strategy. See, you are not talking about the digital market. The way MSMEs should be chip into to better for access to the customers. See, I think it's a platform because we are there, should be there MSME, Nawad also there. I think we should be highlighting the MSMEs about the ONDC platform. Hope you are aware. This open network.
No, I am, sir, but I will not.
That will be the when now we're talking of a lot of things in Make in India. Also yesterday's our Adanya Pradhan Mantri ji bold rahe, we have to make our MSMEs grow much faster and they have to drive for this growth engine. And when you're trying a lot of things in Make in India, try to when this trade wars are starting now a lot of emphasis has to be there where we rely on our own indigenous system. I agree. Your Google platform is there, but also when this platform also MSMEs need to be aware of, so that they also be chip into the ONDC platform also. It's not harm that it should be in different platforms.
Okay. So my honest and I can be blunt, right?
Yeah, you can be very
Okay. So if I can be blunt, sir, then I can put probably 1%, 2%, 5% of my efforts on ONDC today. But if I have to sell today and make sure that I've got dal roti in the evening for me to have in the evening, I have to speak the language of the customer. If the customers are on ONDC, I should go and sell there. But if my customer is shopping on Amazon and Flipkart, I better be there, sir. Otherwise, my dukaan band ho jayega.
Just I'm saying that because let it be there also ONDC.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about e-commerce platforms. I'm not talking about e-commerce platforms at all.
That's okay.
So if I were talking about e-commerce platforms, then it would be I have to look at where my customer is coming from. And any person, any smart marketer, any smart businessman look at that मेरा customer जो भाषा बोलता है. If you've traveled, you've been in Goa for a while, sir. Have you gone to the night markets? How many of you been to the night markets?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many of you have studied foreign languages in your schools, colleges? Those people there speak better French and Israeli and whatever Jewish and Russian than you do. Why? जो customer language बोलेगा, the shopkeeper, smart shopkeeper will learn that language. There's no doubt about it. So the day ONDC becomes a significant thing for the effort you're putting in and the reward that you're getting through, everybody will be on that platform. But with platforms like this, the critical point that happens is everything needs a flywheel. And now flywheel ka concept is you require a critical mass. It has to be moving at a certain momentum. Only when it generates enough momentum with critical mass, everybody gravitates towards that, right? And for that to cross for any platform, any community, it happened with Facebook, it happened with LinkedIn, it happened with Twitter. Government also launched something called Coos.
Yeah.
Did you try that out?
That was failed.
It failed, right?
Time, yeah.
So when you're putting in resources, you'll always look at that, do I get the return on resources? I also have a Koo username. I don't use it. Why? Because my customer is not there. If I was selling only to Indian political system, I would have been there. But the point with all these is there's a network effect that comes in before you decide to pitch your resources behind that. Okay. I hope I've answered your questions.
I have a question about the...
Easy one.
Yeah, easy one. Very easy for you, but very difficult for us. About the Google Analytics part. Now, we, of course, have ads on Google. The problem is that, let us say we have a specific product which is made of concrete, but we don't want it to show whenever anybody searches for a concrete product. We want something like, let us say, concrete cover blocks or concrete spacers. Now we need to screen all the enquiries which come for concrete, like concrete blocks, concrete pavers and things like that. So this is where the Google Analytics part comes in, and that is very tough, because when we just say the recommended searches or options which the Google specifies, when we click that, then we get so many enquiries and clicks that our budget goes haywire.
Okay.
So how do we tackle that?
Okay. So first is the casino parlance, the house always wins.
I just add on to that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
See, when you Google for something, to get the information, you are bombarded with so many, how they come to know, I don't know, but you are bombarded with so many advertisements that regarding the same product, what you are asking for. Now, like what Nitin has asked, how to be a part of that, bombardment? Means if I want my product to be in that bombardment issue.
I get your point, sir. So first is, it's not just about your search. What you're conversing right now with the people around, on the basis of that, not just you, but the person sitting next to you for a long point of time will start getting those same ads.
That's true.
Okay?
That's true.
So it's like the Hollywood movie, sir, that whatever you say can and will be used against you. Okay?
My issue is to filter out those.
Yeah, I know. So we are talking about the simple answer to his question, because udhar paisa hai. What he's trying to say is that, Lalit, I want to contact you and give you some work. We'll talk about that in a bit. Let me answer your question now. See, the first point is, so you need to intelligently analyze, and you're an intelligent man, it's not rocket science. You need to intelligently analyze two things, right? One is when you go into Google Ads, look at your search terms. It shows you the search terms. Now your search keywords are different and actual search terms are different, right? So look at, you may have fed in a certain number of keywords, but the actual user will not think like you. The actual search terms are going to be something completely different. And every time you discover something which is not meeting your business, and Darshana, you can give me a prompt for when I'm talking too much. So when you're actually discovering prompts for people searching for things which are not suiting your business, then you have to make those as negative keywords. So it's got a fantastic thing about negative keywords, right? Now, for example, if you're selling concrete pavers and people are searching for concrete jobs, or people are searching for something else which does not suit your business, the problem is that you're spending money and not getting the return out of it. So every time you're spending money and not getting the return out of it, every time you get a lead or an inquiry, you have to start going back into negative keywords and putting those negative keywords. That's point number one. Point number two, if you follow the Google traditional way of marketing, then you'll probably end up doing every keyword as a broad match keyword. Now, broad match keyword is that somebody is searching for concrete pavers is what you put in as a keyword, and somebody is searching for concrete paver designs, your ad will show up. But that is not helping your business because the person is not buying from you, right? Or concrete pavers jobs, that is not your objective. That anyways you're probably flooded with people who want to work with an excellent company like yours, right? So you have to keep filtering out negative keywords is one. Second, you have to understand the difference between different keyword match types. So what is the difference between the two? Between the couple of these keyword match types? I know this time will not be enough for me to cover everything, so if there's some question I'll take it offline as well before Darshana throws me off stage. But there's something called broad match. Broad match is where there's a variation of that and an extension of that also. So concrete pavers, instead of pavers somebody is used for footpath, your ad will show up. Then second is something called phrase match, where concrete pavers, as long as the person is searching for concrete pavers, then any word before or after, your ad will also show up. So concrete pavers design, your ad will still show, even if you use something called phrase match. Then there's exact match. When you search for concrete pavers, your ad will show. If the person searches for concrete paver, your ad will not show. If such and such person searches for concrete paver manufacturer, also your ad will not show. You have to think through it. Where difference between choosing the right paver and wrong paver and right paver nahi, right keyword and wrong keyword, can mean the difference between lots and lots of business versus spending your entire money and not getting the desired result. Which is why I gave that example in the beginning, where 1720 pounds a month versus 300 pounds a month. Where it gets too technical, too complex for you to be able to manage. Business manage karo ya you manage karo. Which is why you try and talk to somebody who understands the concept. You cannot go with the standard Google recommendations because the house always wins. They're not designed to increase your business. They've got another, so this was the old style. Now you've got even newer styles coming in with AI. You've got something called performance max campaign from Google Ads. If you've logged into Google Ads in the last 2 years. What this does, you go in, punch in your website, punch in a little bit of information about your product, and it automatically creates everything for you. Doesn't help you. Doesn't help you because what is your interest? Your interest is for every lead which I get, which is serviceable by me, and where I stand to make money, how much have I spent? That's your metric. So whether the ad campaign costs 10,000 rupees or 10 lakh rupees is not your concern. If I spend 10 lakhs, did I generate a crore of profits? It is better than you spending 10,000 and generating zero out of it. My understanding of business person. Did I answer your question? Okay. Manjeet Babu, did I answer your question? And you have my number. Yeah. So let's continue. The biggest thing that you have to do is, so there are a couple of legs which I'm talking about. One aspect was Google Ads. Another very important aspect is content. Now what do I mean by content, right? By content I mean you're talking about your business and you're talking a little bit about yourself. Why? Because every business is unique and every business has got a huge amount of expertise that goes behind. So Arunji is here talking about the history of Goa so many times, right? And talking about Panjim being there 20 years ago and 40 years ago. So that shows, and his question earlier also in the session has been about the GI tags. So obviously, if I were to search for a pharma manufacturer who's got a deep understanding, I may not want to work with every pharma manufacturer. I may want to work with somebody who's also got very strong connections to his roots. In which case I'll gravitate towards him, right? So every time you're talking about your brand story in your unique voice. Don't use automated generated content because it's very easy. I mean, when ChatGPT started, and I'm sure all of you are using it, it was fantastic because you could generate a huge amount of content. And I know Reena and I probably skipped a beat saying that, oops, what happens to the content that we write now? But now over a period of time, and you've used it yourself, how easy is it for you to spot ChatGPT content? The tapestry and flowery language and so on. Standard output? Yeah? So when things start, at some point becomes a normalized, equalized. It's no longer an advantage. If you use that content also, take that as a base. So you're not working with a blank paper, but then start reworking on that. Don't use that entirely. Right? So when you regularly dishing out content, you're going to be your company is going to be trusted. You're automatically going to have visibility. And that visibility and that trust translates into business. What should this content be about? About your topics. You talked about so many patents and IPs and costs. You've got a social media. If you're going to put out your entire presentation at one time, people don't have the capacity to absorb it. If you're manufacturing, he talked about a manufacturer of an electric vehicle. So if you're going to talk about all the features at one time, people don't have the capacity to understand it. If you visited some trade fair, talk about it. Smitaji, I follow your passport getting fatter and fatter stories every time. So I know that you're a habitual traveler, right? And visiting all exotic places that I can only think of. But if you were to publish the entire photo bomb of all the travels that you've done in the last 5 years together, it won't have an impact. And the lovely eco farm that you have, if you're going to be talking about one aspect of that NV eco farms every week, not an overkill, not every day that buy. But one aspect is going to be lovely. Last year ka monsoon ka photographs, start publishing them in May, June. Or if the water is there in May, June at a lovely property, then start talking about this in April and May when people are parched. And they say, okay, udhar hi jane hai. So you keep talking about one aspect of a business every week. It is useful, people digest it. So the point is, it's in digestible format. You're not putting out the entire 56 course meal. Putting out in small digestible cocktail size samosas.
Okay, so I've got a marketing person from Kolhapur who's doing it.
हमको तो दे नहीं रहे हो। Anyway.
But I've done it with so many people now. I mean, like somewhere again, I think it's a trust issue. Or probably because my husband has got them.
Okay.
So वो भी हो सकता है.
Okay.
Somewhere I've not been able to be. I'm not happy with the work.
Okay.
So now you can tell me whether the work is good or not.
I haven't seen the brand per se. I'm following you as a fan on your personal page, where I'm seeing your stories of Croatia and malum nahi kahan tha.
Okay.
So I'll have a look at the brand and we can talk offline.
Okay, sure.
But see, the point is, if you're generating authentic content, the content has to be authentic to the brand, right? So you have a very unique position. So if I'm talking about a regular templated model, it will not work for you. There has to be some essence of you and Mahesh in that story, and it has to get personal.
Okay.
So what are you special at? You are having it in the heart of Goa. You are having it in the area which is not attractive from a tourism perspective. I know you've got these walks also. I can't even use Mataji. But okay. So I know that you've got these walks also and the pineapple that is growing and so on. Start talking about and putting out these photographs and videos.
I hope you had seen the stories that I used to create once
Okay,
upon
we'll talk a
a
little later. I have not. So yeah, if your content is authentic, it'll work. If your content is templated, copy-pasted model which is happening with every brand, it will not work. Why? Because people are flooded with content today. Content generation easy ho gaya, so you're also getting flooded, right? How much time do you spend on when you're scrolling on Instagram on a particular post? Only if it is from a very, very special person, right? Otherwise, how much time do you spend? Do you know how much you scroll through on your phone every day? It's almost 1,000 feet a day. Itna to steps ho jata, to step counter would have been happy today. Right? So you have to have thumb-stopping content. Dina is there, she does great content. You can talk to her as well. You can talk to me as well. And your original content is the one that's going to sell. You require people from outside to supplement you with that information. But the essence has to come from you. And don't do a templated model. Templated models don't work. Kolhapur is not a parameter for this. Why? Because we are generating content for people in the US as well and UK as well. So the fact that the person is outside from Goa does not really matter. If the person is right, guru mil rahe hain to kahin pe bhi le lo. It doesn't matter. It's a flat world today. So we already talked about social media. I can cut it. Okay. But you tell me when I have to stop talking. Okay. Fine. So social media gives you a direct line to your customers. You are the distributor. You're no longer having to go to newspapers, media houses to distribute your content. Technically, a person who's got 30,000 followers on social media is considered to be a celebrity. I don't know how many Smitaji you are at or Nitin you are at, but I know that you have a reasonable sized fan following. I'm sure there are lots of you over here also who got a huge fan following. Ambika, I just saw you, I'm sorry. So, I'm sure that if you are posting consistently, your fan following will keep on increasing. And the day you reach 30,000 status, you are actually called a celebrity. Now, it is not a real vanity metric, right? The metric ka advantage is something very different. So, if you are able to reach out 20,000 people with your content free of charge, it costs you time, right? Then some percentage of that converts into sales and inquiries. You've experienced it? Yeah. So every greeting that you send out is consistently with your business branding. And top of the mind recall is, okay, paper blogs, where do I buy from? Okay, I talked to Nitin. That's the value of brand recall. So the magic portion around social media is consistency. You don't necessarily have to have a 100-word article, you can put out 20 words, good enough. But concise, and keep in mind that that's what the customers will be searching for. So that's why you use the hashtags intelligently. Don't flood the thing with hashtags. Some hashtags, 10 words, some photographs, some video is good enough. But consistency is a magic weapon there. And don't try to talk about what you're not. And there will be goof-ups that happen. If you're there in an area and something goes wrong and some, God forbid, some accident happens, or the mining spill in the earlier avatar that was there. Mining was a ticking time bomb for people to come and say this went wrong, that went wrong, any which ways. You've seen that side of the story, right? So here, thankfully, different category of problems are there, but problems will happen everywhere. Don't feed the troll. If there's somebody going after you on social media, maintain your dignified silence. But talk about your brand message on social media, because that's where your customers will come from. But you spend all your money there? No, don't do that. Because it's not going to convert into sales immediately for many people. The next point is SEO branding, right? And so you're from Sidby, and a couple of you are running your own businesses. This is one of the most under-leveraged and powerful tool available, where you as a CEO talk about your brand. The companies there today making product X could be making product Y, but who you are as a person is what you should be using social media. If you're a student, it'll help you get better careers. If you're a CEO, it'll help you get better connections, it'll open doors, you'll make sure that you attract better employees, and it'll open your world up to partnerships. And I'm not even kidding about the kind of benefits that some of our clients have seen. It'll help you get recognized as a thought leader. Some people will go on to write books or be recognized for and get various awards. These are spin-offs, but it'll translate into hardcore sales. No metric around it कि 4 post करोगे तो एक business आएगा. I'm not talking about something like that. Be consistent and be authentic. Don't be something that you're not. Right? So some of you are connected with me on social media. I post things about including what I'm cooking, for example, because that's what I am. I love doing it. That makes it authentic, right? The other CEO may not be cooking. वो कहाँ से copy करेगा? You can't copy somebody else. You be authentic. It'll work. Any questions? Yeah. So this is the winning formula. This is probably the one slide that I've been talking about for all this time. And basically you make sure that you're registered on, I get 5 more minutes, so we've got lots of time for question answers. So basically make sure that you're registered on Google Business, My Business, which is making sure that you own your own Google Maps position, listing. Make sure you use Google Ads effectively. If nothing, start with a 10,000 budget, but start. Now remember what I talked to you about, the house always wins. One wrong setting there, you can blow up your entire campaign cost in one day. Right? It's like F&O. How many of you have lost money in F&O in the last 1 year? Yeah. How many of you have traded in F&O in the last 1 year? एक ही हाथ आएगा. If you've traded, you've lost. Yeah. So the house always wins. You will lose money. So make sure that you're capping your loss by specifying a daily budget and an end date. These 2 points are very important. You can write it down in bold and underline them, but experiment with it. Put an end date, which could be say 1 month from now, when you're starting the campaign also, बाद में याद नहीं रहेगा. And put a daily budget of something that you can afford to lose for 30 days. Right? Don't start it without that. Pardon? My Q&A is going on. Yeah. Okay, I need to go to Q&A, so please start asking me a question so I can get a license for 2 more minutes. Keep generating content and be present on social media, and don't ignore SEO branding. Okay. Any more questions? Yeah, sorry, one last slide. The cost of not going digital. For those of you who are not there digitally, I don't know how much of the screen is getting cut because of the tables, but you kind of get the feeling. With the world being online, if you're not online, you're going to go extinct. So if customers talking a particular language, your customers there, if you're targeting to older people, be on Facebook, younger people, be on Instagram. Basically, if your target market is your children's age, do spend time where they are. If your customer is reading Al Jazeera, please be present there. If your customer is reading Times of India or the Hindu or the Statesman or Swaraj magazine, be there. Basically, essentially, be where the customer is, talk their language. Business आएगा कहाँ जाएगा? Make sense? Yeah. And the amount of time that you're spending on the phone every day logically means that you have to be there in the format to reach your customers. So what are the apps that you have on your phone, or what are the apps that you have on the type of phones that your customers have? Okay. Be there. उसमें ONDC आता है तो ONDC पे हो जाइए. उस पे Amazon आता है, Facebook आता है, उस पे जाइए. Facebook नहीं है, Instagram है, Snapchat है, तो make sure you're marketing over there. Talk the language of the customer. If you talk the language of the customer, you'll win. There's no 2 ways about it. Yeah. So, looking forward to you to connect to me. If you have any questions, any more questions now, I can answer it. Yes.
So Lalit, at some point I heard you saying maintain consistency.
Yes.
Valid. At some point I heard you saying keep a 1 month mark, right? So irrespective of whether I'm a student, I'm a founder, at what point do you really change your strategy?
No, see,
Do you go for consistency or do you keep an end date in mind?
Okay, so these two are in two different contexts, and let me explain. I'm asking you to be consistent with marketing, okay? But I'm asking you to have an end date in the Google ad campaign and keep changing that end date so that you're not giving them a blank check license. It's like buying a subscription. Now there are two ways in which you're buying a subscription. Either when somebody comes and you make the check to him, that's not a dangerous subscription to do. But the other way, it's getting cut automatically from your credit card, is a very dangerous subscription to do. Where you can, it's like Hotel California, you'll walk in, you'll never walk out. Right? So please maintain consistency when it comes to advertising online. Please maintain consistency when it goes to content marketing and posting on social media. Please maintain consistency on Google Ads also, because you will not get benefits in a year, in a month or 3 months. You'll start getting benefits only as the thing evolves. It's a learning engine. It's an AI engine. So the more it learns, the more data it has, the cheaper your ads go. So what used to cost me, let us say 100 rupees a click earlier, now costs me only 80 or 70 or 60. And what I used to get conversions earlier at say 10%, now I get 40. So on both sides I start winning if I'm there longer, if I play the long game. The point I'm talking about is putting an end date on the ads is that when you're putting an end date on the ads, your credit card stops getting charged on that day. Go back and renew the date.